What's good? So if you found this video, congratulations, you found a fucking gem because I'm about to spill everything I know to not only get in your dream physique, but also giving you a training philosophy that'll um make sure you keep on progressing for months, years on end. And this is probably the only video you'll ever need to watch. And yeah, this is I'll make a brief introduction of what I'll be talking about. And yeah, I got some notes over here. I'll talk about them. Um, I'll be talking about how to get big. You know, I've got plenty of fucking bullets over here. So how to lift, how to pick exercises, how to program, how to progress, how to manage fatigue, which is honestly fucking something that's not talked about. Sometimes that's not talked about. Um, Nutrition as well, sleep, and the muscles you need to prioritize. And I'll finish it off with some, just general advice. So, if you don't know me, my name is Abdul, and I'm gonna start just the basis of the channel is just I'm just gonna be um rephrasing what the nerdy creators are saying in a way that me and you can both understand it, and you can get as much benefit as you can without becoming a fucking scientist. And yeah, so getting big. Obviously, we're talking about stepping into the gym and you gotta train, right? And you might hear conventional advice, which is do push pull legs or bro split, right? And I'm here to tell you that that's fucking just wrong, right? Yeah. So you basically need to tone the muscle or whatever. That's a meme that's going on right now. So basically just lift in the 4 to 6 rep range, because anything more than that will just make your recovery a lot worse. And the only thing that will hurt your progress, if you're already consistent with going to the gym, is bad recovery, or in worst case just an injury or something. So exercise selection just means picking exercises that you can first of all easily progress, stable, that you enjoy, and that have an adequate resistance profile. So for example, with biceps, they need a descending resistance profile, meaning they're hardest in the beginning of the movement. So when your arm is straight, and as soon as you bend your arm, they lose leverage. Basically, they have peak leverage at about 90 degrees, right? And anything above this is just not doing anything. It's not really not doing anything, but it's just not where the muscle has the most amount of leverage. And every muscle differs, lats have their peak leverage from about here, so 120 degrees till about here. So basically they bring your arm down to the torso. And in my opinion, it's better to start minimalistic and then build your way up when you develop weak points and shit. So basically you want to start with a movement that targets your entire back. Not your entire back, but you get what I'm trying to say. And get specifically as strong as possible. So basically, let's say pull-ups, for example. Let's say you can do 3 pull-ups on a good day. Start with singles, start with doing cluster sets of singles. Excuse me. Start with doing cluster sets with singles. So basically you divide the set. Let's say you can do 3 reps, and then that you would be cooked for the entire session. So basically you would do 1 rep, then rest for 30 seconds, then do again 1 rep, like rest for a minute, then do 1 rep, whatever. Just keep on doing 1 rep, 1 rep, 1 rep until you can like eventually build up the capacity to do multiple reps. And once you're like fatigued enough after like the cluster sets, you can start doing like easier progressions. So like Australian pulls, I think they're called. I've never done them. I've Just because I've like started out with like the gym doing like lat pull downs, and I eventually like had the strength to do like actual pull ups. So that as well can be a good way to start if you're just beginning. So yeah, you want to pick a pull-in movement, so basically like a pull-up or a chin-up, and you want to press, and you want to pick a press-in movement, so basically a dip or a bench press. And when you're just starting out, it doesn't really matter. You don't gotta have to like worry about if a movement is like very optimal. So you just have to like get on with it and just keep on experimenting. So yeah, chest supported row. Don't do fucking barbell rows. Like I used to do them. They're fun, but it's like pretty hard to track progress because you can just like swing the weight and you won't know if you're actually like progressed or you're just like swinging the weight more. And a leg pressing movement. So basically, just like a leg press or a squat or a hack squat, whatever. Just a bunch of movements you can do there. And RDLs or a hinge. Sorry. Hinge. So basically RDLs, deadlifts, stiff-legged deadlifts. And these will train your posterior chain, meaning depending, obviously, your lower back, your glutes, your hamstrings, if you're doing them with your knees straight. And make the entire focus of every session getting strong in these movements. And the reason why I'm like emphasizing on getting strong is because you cannot build muscle without getting stronger, but you can get stronger without building muscle. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like a one-way street. You can't really go both ways. And I'm trying to record this in like one take, so I won't really like edit it much. I'll try to like plug in videos of me doing these exercises, but I won't cut this out at all to like make it hard for myself to stick to talking on camera without like knowing that I can just like edit stuff out. So again, make your entire focus just like getting strong on them, and I will discuss how to do so later in the progressing section. So for this, I can like exercise selection, you basically just like pick the main movements and like build around them. So basically you have, let's say for legs, you have your leg pressing and your hinges. So let's say for example, you do a squat, right? You do a squat, and after your squats, you don't know what the fuck to do. So you go do a hinge, right? You go do your deadlifts or your RDLs or whatever. And you don't know what the fuck to do. So you go do your calves. But you're still like relatively fresh, and you think like you didn't really do much. So basically that's when you start building around your weak points. Basically, I would personally do, if I'm trying to, I would personally do movements that would help me get stronger in those first movements, right? So for example, for deadlifts, I would pick a hip thrust or a stiff-legged deadlift, right? That would help me get stronger in the hip hinge. And for the squats, I would pick a adductor exercise or a what's it called? Or a leg extension to target the rec fem, which is not trained in a squat. So yeah, as for the upper body muscles, I would, after doing dips and pull-ups, I would do shoulders. I would like do a shoulder press or do lateral raises or do rear delt flies, right? Like, although they won't like directly help me progress on the the lifts that I'm talking about, they having just more muscle in the body parts that are antagonist to your to the ones that are working. So basically, just like having bigger hamstrings is gonna help your squat, and having a bigger back will also help your pressing. Not directly, but it's just nice having like it just provides more support for basically and for injury prevention and all that stuff. So yeah, to get a stronger pull up, you need you need bigger arms. So you need stronger biceps, stronger triceps, and you just pick exercises that are accordingly effective, and they isolate those muscles. So volume and frequency. I'm gonna try to like not give a generalist approach, so I'll try to like be more specific. So don't go over 6 sets a week, and don't go over 3 times frequency, right? Obviously, some muscles are easily damaged, so like biceps, chest, triceps, shoulders. In this order, they are like the most easily damaged muscles, so I wouldn't like push the frequency too hard. I would like only do like 2 times frequency, and I would keep like the intensity. I wouldn't say lower, but I would be more conservative with the RPE. So I wouldn't like go to failure on every single set, and I wouldn't push it very hard. So high frequency allows for less atrophy periods. Oh, right. High frequency allows for like um, less atrophy, basically. And less atrophy means so let's say you do 2 sets of chest on Monday. By Wednesday, the the hypertrophic period or like the anabolic period is already over. So you're gonna need to train chest again. And contrary to like popular belief, atrophy does not take 2 weeks. If so, bro splits would be kings, and you would just like build muscle even if you trained like once every 2 weeks, right? And frequency wouldn't matter at all. But thankfully it does. So this like allows for the maximum amount of like stimulus per week, and the least amount of atrophy again per week. And yeah, and you can basically stay fresh and train, be recovered for every session, right? Again, progression. It feels like I'm just spinning my wheels here, but still, this is for you guys. Micro load or double progression. So basically, every time, let's say on yesterday, like 3 days ago or 2 days ago, I did 6 reps with 200 pounds on leg extensions, right? The next day, or next session, I'll add 5 pounds, right? I'm not trying to like match that amount of reps. I'm trying to get 6 reps again, right? And being more intentful with your training, stepping into the gym and knowing, yeah, I've got to get 6 reps on my last set. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I've got to do this, and visualizing it makes it easier to like make it happen. Essentially, like knowing what you need to do will indirectly like cause you to do those things, and it worked for me. It worked for my friend that I'm training with right now. He's new to the gym, and I'm like seeing him get like 4 extra reps or 3 extra reps every session, and it's fucking crazy. Like I'm pretty jealous of him. And yeah, double progression is basically when you keep on progressing reps instead of weeks. So basically, you get 4 reps on a session. You try to get 5, 6 the next the next few sessions, and then you add an amount of weight that puts you back in the top of that rep range. So yeah, that's basically it. Just progressively overload. And how to manage fatigue. This is like a pretty serious topic, because it's like the thing that beginners focus less on in the beginning of their training, because they think they can just like recover from like anything, which is not false. Although when you finish, your like newbie games phase where everything works basically, it stops working and it hits you hard, and you're gonna be like a lifetime beginner basically, depending on how like stupid you go in the gym. So I was personally like a victim of this, because I used to do push pull legs 6 days a week, and I used to like not progress at all. Like if like I'd be happy to like get one rep on my first exercise, and like basically just not progress from on that. And as I switched to more like of a PPL X Arnold, so basically push pull legs and chest and back and arms, that worked for a bit. Then I switched back to like a bro split 4 days a week or 5 days a week. Then I started making a little bit of progress, because the first sets were, I was fresh on them, but I was still not making very much progress. So yeah. So how to manage fatigue. So basically you want to leave a rep in reserve for the majority of your training, if not all of it. Let's say when I tell you I got 6 reps on my leg extension, for example, I did not fail the 7th rep, okay? And I'm telling you, like, I got 6 reps. I got 6 reps and I left one in the tank. So I could have got 7, but the 7th one was basically gonna fuck me up for the rest of the week, right? And this becomes like more and more important, because you don't want to be cooked by the end of your session. Like, you're gonna know if your training program is good or not when you finish it, when you're done with it, and you're not like out of breath, and you're just like it's like you've been beaten up or some shit. You'll know it when you're like you can still get through the day without like needing like a 6 hour nap. That's basically it. So doing that, leaving a rep in the tank for like all of your training, is while still progressing. I'm talking like, and that makes it very easy to progress. I've noticed when I stopped going to failure, I stopped when I stopped going to failure on everything, chasing that last rep. I had like so basically, if you're going to failure on everything right now, for the next week, if you already log your training, which you obviously should be doing, honestly. If you're not doing that, like, start doing it. You're missing out. So basically, look at your logbook. Let's say, for example, you did 2 sets of chest press. One is at 6 reps and one is at 5 reps, right? Do those again. Get 6 reps and 5 reps. And hopefully, those 6 reps and 5 reps will be easier than the last time you did them, right? If you're doing everything right, which you should be doing, honestly. Right. And that 6 rep and 5 reps will be at 1 in reserve, right? Because the next week, obviously, you could have done 7 and 6. And that's basically how you're gonna leave one, and do that for like the entire workout. Sorry. Let's say afterwards you had lat pull downs, you got like 6 and 6 and 7 reps. Stay at those rep range, stay at those reps, and for the next section after, add a rep or add weight, and you're gonna find that it's a lot easier. You're gonna end up like adding like 2 reps or some shit, which is basically how progress should be. Like, if you're just a beginner, you're gonna be progressing quite a lot. Secondly, this is a bit complicated, but leaving long length work at the end of the session, or unilateral work at the end of your session, or for like weak points. So To explain this, basically, let's say, for example, we can all agree that a squat is more fatiguing than a leg extension because a leg extension is a short length movement, right? Because it's easier to extend your leg than to press, okay? And this applies to a lot of muscles, basically, like biceps. It's a preacher curl is harder than a drag curl because you're just squeezing. Um, a back deck is easier than a chest press because it's the moment arm is shorter, the external moment arm is shorter, and you know, you know, uh, yeah. So basically, you want to leave the longer length work uh, before a rest day. Let's say, for example, on your second upper day, you have pull ups, dips, and you instead of doing a shoulder press, you do a lateral raise, and instead of doing a you already did dips, so you won't really need a jam press or like a heavy tricep compound. Instead of doing that, you just do like a tricep extension, and essentially, this is more like if you're just looking at it from a bodybuilding standpoint. But if you're just training for strength and trying to like, get as big as possible, which is bodybuilding, but at the end of the day, it's this is what just sticking to the first tip is gonna be like the most of your results, right? Third tip is avoiding redundancy, and this is like super important. I see it all the time in my gym. You don't want to do the same movement twice. So basically, a front lat row is the same as a lat pull down. It's the same thing. It's a sagittal plane, I think, called. It's a sagittal plane pull, right? And yeah, you don't want to do that. And again, for chest, you don't want to do for a front delts. Basically, I see this all the time. You see people doing an incline press, then a shoulder press as well. You won't be able to perform very well on your shoulder press because your front delts are already like very well activated on the incline press. So that's called redundancy. Basically, when you train a muscle twice without any regard if it's gonna do the job or not. So I wouldn't do leg presses after squats or lat rows after pull downs or lateral raises after a shoulder press because shoulder presses, if done in the if you do them by the side, they're gonna train your side delts pretty well, right? And third tip, which is pretty important as well, is to not emphasize the stretch. Please, if you're already like doing pull, this is like more specific to back work, like where you see people like overextending, like they fucking like almost tear off their shoulder doing like rows or some shit. Stop. It doesn't really do anything for your growth. You're only like making yourself weaker because you're actually like getting out of like the active range of the lats, and it's not really doing anything for your growth, right? Getting stronger is basically um how you get how you get bigger. Now for nutrition. Like diet is obviously important, but if you the better your programming is, the better your programming, the better your programming is, the less important your diet is going to be. But this is I don't really agree with this, but whatever. It's true. So I don't like actively do much research on diet, but I still eat. Like you can see, I'm fucking eating cake right now. So whatever. It's just what it is. You can still make pretty good progress by eating 20% junk food, I guess. But whatever. Um, One thing I'll be talking about here is you don't need a very big surplus. Let's say if you're skinny, the amount of muscle you're gonna build on a 10 or on a 100 calorie above your maintenance or 100 calorie surplus is the same amount of muscle you're gonna build on 1,000 or 2,000 calories. You're just the amount of fucking fat you're gonna put on is obviously different because muscle growth is a signaling dependent process and not a how much of a fucking uh what's it called, how much of a fucking surplus it is, it's a switch in your brain that tells your muscles to grow and shit. So when when I would only recommend going like 100 calories above your maintenance. Find out where your maintenance is. It's pretty fucking self-explanatory. Just um, Google it and run it for like a week. If you see your weight changing, it means if you see your weight changing up or down, adjust it accordingly. Then add the 100 calories of whatever it is. You just like, yeah. I think diet is like very overcomplicated because um you see people like talking like about calories in, calories out, like it's a video game. But it's really not. Like calories are not equal. So I would start like by um being more uh what's it called? Conservative? No. Minimalistic. Minimalistic with your diet. Basically just like start with the basics. Eggs, fish, meat, pasta, whatever. Fruits, veggies. Just start with that. And then if you think you need like a protein shake at the end of your day because you didn't have much protein, feel free to do that. And I would recommend like leaving your carbs close to like midday when you're already like done with much of your with like the bulk of your studies or uh oh yeah, with like the bulk of your studies and work, so they don't like impact your performance. I also recommend eating quite a lot of dried fruit and like avocados, like fats, basically because they're pretty good for your hormones. If you're a guy, it's pretty good for your testosterone, whatever. Sleep. This is obviously very important as well. I tend to like wake up after 8 to 9 hours. So, like for example, today, slept at around 12. Script. I like set up the script in this video, and I woke up at around 9 p.m. Right, 9 a.m. Sorry, and I woke up around 9. So basically, that's like 9 hours of sleep. Okay, and it's winter time right now, so the sun won't really like, help you like wake up as much. Whatever, the sun won't help you wake up as much, and just try to like wake up and sleep at the same time every day, like set up your circadian rhythm or whatever. And yeah, that's a bit. That's like I guess that's it for sleep. Like special tip: if you're planning on training in the evening and you've like finished your studies or whatever in the morning, have a nap. Have a nap. You'll wake up feeling better, and naps are just like honestly a fucking cheat code. I can attest to this because I use them like pretty much every single day. I nap every single day on top of the 9 hours of sleep I get. Obviously, I nap a bit more if I just like get 7 hours, depending on school or whatever. But naps are fucking goaded. So this is a part that's I don't like very much because it's like an excuse to not train certain muscle groups a lot. But still, uh, the muscle groups you will need to focus on are the basically your frame. So your shoulders. I don't know. Let's see if I can get anything. So basically your shoulders, your back, and your traps, right? These are the muscles that are gonna like give you your frame, basically your V shape or whatever. So yeah. I personally do dips and pull-ups. I live and breathe by them, and they've helped me a lot because pull-ups pretty good for your lats, dips pretty good for your front delts, and pretty good for your chest as well. Then I start doing other shoulder work, so basically shoulder presses, lateral raises, shoulders, as well as triceps and back as well. So yeah, basically you got back, shoulders, uh, upper chest, traps, whatever. These are the muscles that are like mostly gonna set you up for a good uh, a good start of your like fitness journey or whatever. And finally, but like you shouldn't like give them less importance, but they're not as important. Basically, you got legs, forearms, abs, lower back, and glutes. But having these muscles like pretty well trained is gonna like dramatically increase the quality of your life. When I started training my lower back and my abs, I noticed that my back pain and hip pain started going away because those muscles are like the weak links in a lot of people's physiques. So you'll notice that they say that I've heard people say this quite a lot that you know a bodybuilder's lifestyle is pretty bad because they're always in pain. They're always like suffering from some like chronic pain. Like they're like fucking they have diabetes or some shit, which is like fucking. I wouldn't say wrong, but people go about training in the wrong way. So if you're suffering from lower back issues, I'd recommend training your glutes, training your lower back, training your hip flexors, and that will like as soon as like you start like strengthening like your entire midsection, most of those problems go away because it's probably just like a weakness issue, and obviously if it's like super bad, discuss with a fucking physicist. I'm not gonna fucking like give you medical advice, and yeah, even I get medical advice from like an actual doctor, so I wouldn't recommend like uh honestly I take that back. Focus on your weaknesses, and if that doesn't work, then ask a doctor. I wouldn't recommend whatever. Don't quote me on that. Lastly, we got cardio. Obviously incredibly important. Make sure to like engage in any sort of like form of it. And that will be either your favorite sport. Let's say you play like a soccer or some shit, football, jump rope, you box, you whatever, basketball, whatever, anything. Make sure you do it like 3 to 4 times a week. You could do it on your rest days. You could do it if it's what's it called? If it's not too stressful, if it's not too stressful on your joints, you can do it multiple times a week. If it's like running on like solid concrete, I wouldn't recommend doing it before a leg day. You don't want shin splints and leg training on the same, you know, 2 day interval. That's like gonna fuck you up pretty bad. I've had that problem because I used to like run a lot back a few months ago, and I've had that problem like fuck. It was bad. It was like really bad. But weirdly, I've noticed that when I train legs whilst having shin splints, the next day I wake up feeling fine for some reason. But when I run after a leg day, my shin splints get fucking worse. So I don't know how that works, but whatever. Uh, sprints, plyos can be included for like extra health benefits like athleticism, reaction time, agility, whatever. But these are like specific qualities that you can train outside of the gym. They don't really depend on your physique or whatever. You can be 240 pounds and still, box jump 60 inches. And these are like more specific qualities, right? These are like stuff that's not really dependent on how you look. It's just you can like train them whatever. However, I don't really have much knowledge about plyometrics, but I'll try to learn on them. I'll try to learn more about them so I can like give you a more educated advice. And but I know that jumping, like jump rope, is like your is like a friend more beginner friendly plyometric because it's just you're just hopping, right? And it trains your I'd say coordination as well. Okay. I wanted to include another part, which is mindset. This is like very important because there will become a time, there will come a time in every like lifter's journey where nothing like will make you satisfied. You'll have made like a little bit of progress and you'll be struck by how little progress comes because building muscle is like very fucking slow. You might make good progress like in your lifts, like you might be adding like 5 pounds every week, but um, it's muscle like it's not 1 to 1. It's not like a 1 to 1 ratio thing where the amount of muscle you build equals like the amount of strength you add, and you will feel like you're getting stronger, but you're not like getting any bigger, right? And all I can say is because you're adding grams of muscle at a time, like fucking milligrams of muscle at a time, and it's gonna take time. It might not be like you might not like notice any difference in like 3 weeks. You might not notice any difference in like I'd say a month. Months becomes a bit more noticeable, especially if you add like huge amounts of like let's say if you take your bicep curl from 35 pounds to 45 pounds or 50 pounds in the span of a month and a half or 2 months. That difference is gonna be fucking insane. I can tell you that because I've noticed it myself. I've went from 35 pounds on my single arm preacher curl to now I think 45 pounds. And I've noticed a difference, and my and I would like recommend taking progress pics with like um, certain poses and like the same lighting so that you can see how your muscles change. And if you work out at the same time, this will be easier. Um, Preferably in the same lighting, and you'll see how much your body changes. Because although it's like the progress is slow, it's like very stackable, and you'll notice it like right away. Again, for mindset, just stick with the same thing. Like even if you're like feeling like the need to like ADHD swap things around, unless you need like if unless you have like a very critical like weak point, don't change anything. All right, and yeah, this is like just me like giving you the advice I've learned from the years that I spent doing this shit. Right? Don't switch it up too much because let's say for example you switch out your dumbbell curls for a machine pre curl. For 2 weeks, you're not gonna make any progress because it's mostly like neurological adaptations, and it's just your body, it's just like your brain and your body getting used to the movement, and you're not going to build any muscle. So right, that's pretty much it. I hope y'all enjoyed this, and goodbye.